Alright, so I want to show you here is a car that is an intermittent parasitic draw on the battery. Here we can see it's 60 milliamp and then it blips up to 8, goes back to sleep. We wait long enough, it's going to blink back up. There you go, 8 amps again, briefly, back to sleep. So this car's continually doing this all throughout the night, and it's basically taking the battery out overnight every night. We've already charged the battery. What we're doing is, there's a snap-on amp clamp and we're hooked up to the negative side here. The car, notice, has a built-in amp clamp to it right here. You can see that's the ring right down there. So it's kind of weird that this car, I would have to look to the service information and the system description to understand exactly why it's not actually just cutting the car to sleep, but there we go. So they're not all straightforward, and you know, we can see this a little more clearly if I put it on a time stamp scope shape instead of just here the multimeter view. Okay, so flash forward about 30 minutes and we've exhausted this fuse panel here. You can see my dots from making sure, you know, certain common relays that we know are problems and things like that. This is like the AC clutch relay is, you know, pretty common to stick and cause a drain. It wasn't in this case. So what we were able to do is isolate it down here to this 50 amp fuse. Now that we've got the problem rectified here, we don't have the current draw bouncing around anymore. We have it down. This is about 20, you know, move decimal places 3, so that's 20 milliamp, which is well under spec, which is, you know, depending on the car, usually about 50 milliamp is okay. So this 50 milliamp fuse is one that's referred to here as MBEC1. That then further branches out and controls basically the seats, door, and then here you go, your seat modules. Okay, so what we were able to do is isolate it down this trunk and ultimately isolate it to the driver, front driver, right there. So going and disconnecting this is how we now see the stable car, and at this point it's a choice of replacing the module or setting the seat in the position that the driver desires it and letting it ride. Alright, so this is actually what we went through here is one of the more complicated parasitic draws to find, in that it was not static and it was dynamic. Traditionally, a parasitic draw is a constant, you know, steady state amperage draw. In this case, it was a module that was intermittently bouncing around in terms of its current draw, which makes it sometimes a little more difficult to find than others. Alright, until the next time.